everybody. I swear this is a different purple shirt than I wore yesterday. I just before I came down to my desk, I was like, what? And I looked in the dirty clothes. I'm like, oh, there's the one from yesterday. I think I'm just in a purple mood this week. So I am feeling good. And we have a lot of K's today. We got special K's today and plenty to talk about. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and start. It's time for relationships and dating from A to Z, the letter K. Ding. All right. So let's see what we got here. Remember, I'm only doing like no more than 2 minutes on each. So knowing. All right. So this one actually in the thread, I actually asked the person who wrote this for a little more clarity in what he meant. And what he was referring to was, how do you know, like, if this is the right person, or how do you know if it's the time to, you know, become more intimate? How do you know if it's time to move forward? And I think in general, the knowing has to come from a place, it has to come from a feeling in your body. Do you feel light? Do you feel heavy? Does it feel exciting? Does it, if you feel scared, can you ask yourself, is this fear or is this excitement? Because sometimes they feel really similar. So, I think generally the place to check is in your chest. If your chest feels heavy or dark, then that's probably more fear. And if you're just feeling nervous and anxious, but you have a sense of almost like confusion and possibility, then that is probably more in line with excitement. And you might have a little bit of both, which is usually when growth happens, right? So if you're feeling like, I think I want to move forward, I think I want, you know, to express this part of myself. The thing about, if you know whether or not it's time to become intimate with somebody, I would always ask yourself, are you interested in being somewhat, emotionally responsible to this person, in the sense that you can be, you have enough energy around this person that you really want to be careful with their heart? Because once you, and this was a man asking this, so, you know, once you bond that way with a woman, women tend to have more oxytocin release, men have more dopamine release. And I'm not saying that this is across the board. This is like in general, that men have more pleasure hormones and women have more trust and bonding hormones when it comes to sex. And that's why I always say you can't have sex with somebody once a week and think that it's casual. It's not casual. You're bonding. So, you know, as a loving and considerate human being, you want to make sure before you make that decision that you might have a knowing, but you also want to be able to take responsibility for the fact that this person, that the two of you are going to be creating a bond that that's a real thing, you know. And I'm not saying that it can't be casual, it can't be light, but I think it's really important to have that communication around that, because there is a bonding, like it or not. Now, what that bond means to you and what it means beyond the scope of the two of you, well, that's for you to create and for you to talk about. So yes, the knowing in your body. Kidding around. Kidding around, much like banter and joking, kidding around is great, fun. We love lightness and levity in our relationships, but when the kidding tends to be at one person's expense, or it tends to be passive aggressive. If you don't know what passive aggressive means, it means that you're being aggressive passively. It means that you're kind of making a joke. You're not really saying what you mean. You're not really, you're criticizing that person, but you're disguising it as sort of a joke or a request or even a body language, right? So if kidding becomes sort of a way to jab at someone, then of course it's not healthy. What's fun about that? That's not fun, right? So, okay. Dun, dun, dun. Kinkiness. Oh man, I've only got a couple minutes here. Kinkiness is, Well, it's all relative, isn't it? My goodness. What's really normal and kind of everyday for some people might be considered really kinky for another person. If it's let's see, we're looking at issues in dating and relationships. So if your kink is not dangerous, harmful, or outside the rules and boundaries of your relationship, then I think it's important to open up conversation around it. If your partner's kinkiness is like too much for you, then what the discussion has to be then is, if I never do this for you, or if we never really get to express this, are you going to feel like you can be fully authentic? Or, is this okay for you to kind of fantasize this on your own? Is that good enough for you? It's really a matter of not shaming your partner, but also really exploring it as like, how big a deal is this, right? Because kinkiness has to do with eroticism, and eroticism, again, is not something that we can really control any more than we can control our dreams. And so eroticism is not really personal. It's not about you. Yes, some eroticism, of course, can be about you. I'm not saying that your partner isn't erotic to you, but I'm just saying eroticism that, like, if somebody has eroticism around shoes or something, I don't know, I'm trying to come up with something. That's not because of you. That's not because of you're lacking in something or something that's wrong with you. So, everybody's eroticism is their own, and the less shame that we can perpetuate around it, the better. And so if your partner tells you about a kink, try to breathe, try not to judge, try not to lash out, try not to freak out. Just start with, okay, so what does this mean for you if this happens or if it doesn't happen? That's the question. Okay. Kissing. My favorite thing to do in the whole world. I think that it's important in the beginning of a relationship to address it. If you're like, this person's a bad kisser, or you don't kiss the same, or you just wish they would relax their mouth or their tongue or whatever, I think it's really important to bring it up sooner than later. You don't want to get 6 months down the road and be like, by the way, I haven't really enjoyed kissing you for the last 6 months. That is not cool. You need to stop. And most people appreciate it. Okay. If you stop and you're like, okay, we got to figure this kissing thing out. Like, can you do this? Or can't, God, what did my friend say? How did he say that? Oh, a friend of mine was teaching a girl like how he wanted to kiss, and he did this. He was like, okay, so it's not like this, it's like this. It's like this. And she got it. And then the kissing was better after that. So there you go. That's that's like little Muppet kissing teaching. All right. Kids want kids. If you want kids and you're dating, oh man, this is something you just really can't apologize for, and you can't pretend that you don't have a biological clock. You need to really search your soul and decide what you're comfortable with. Are you comfortable with the idea of adoption? Are you what if you fall in love with somebody who's not able to get you pregnant? Or if you are a man and you fall in love with a woman who can't get pregnant. So if you want kids, there is a reality to that. And, men, please, if you know you are not into a woman enough to marry her and have kids with her, please don't burn the years on her biological clock. Don't do that. That's not cool. Let her move on and find somebody who is interested in that. It's just not cool. So if you want kids, you don't have to apologize for wanting kids, but you do need to explore your options, because obviously you can get, we know it happens all the time. You can get 5 years into a marriage and go, oh, holy shit, we had no idea that now we're going to have to go through in vitro. We're going to have to go through other things. So really, as much as you might be attached to a certain way of it happening or when it's happening, really explore what you might be open to as far as those options. Go. Kindness, being too kind. This was the question, being too kind. When you are being too kind, you might think that you're operating out of love, but you're actually operating out of fear, because you've defined it here as being too kind. Like you're being kind to the point that it's at your own expense, or that it's at the expense of the relationship, or that it's coming from fear. So it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of the martyr energy, right? So if you've got martyr energy, when you're being kind, when you're theoretically being loving out of fear, then it's almost like your love, that energy almost can't land. It's like it's thick. It's thick with need, and it's coming back. It never really lands, and you never really get to receive. And so when you're being too kind, when you're in that martyr energy and you're loving from that place of need, it's almost like you can't actually give it. And so the person that's receiving it, the person that it's coming to, it actually doesn't feel that good to them. It doesn't. And they know it, and they don't know why, because it's like everything that person is doing is seemingly nice, but I don't know why it feels icky. It feels like quicksand, right? So if you find yourself doing this dance where you're doing everything, and you just feel like I give and I give and I give, and I'm so kind, and I do this, and I guess I'm just being too nice, and I'm doing it. If you betray yourself, you will be betrayed. If you betray yourself in a relationship, you will ultimately be betrayed, and you'll be like, I don't know what happened. I was just so nice, and they just took advantage of me. No, you can be that nice, but that love is not landing. It's not landing. And guess what? That which they give you is never enough. You are unfillable. And so it's really important for you to be moving from a place of love and not fear, so that you're actually creating a boundary that gives that person the opportunity to love you back and for it to land. So that's the trap of that martyr energy. Okay. Nobody wins. What you're giving isn't really landing, and you're not able to you're closed off. So, okay. Kids, dating someone who has them. Okay. Yeah. Their kids are always going to come first. And that custody schedule, it's a serious thing. And here's what happens. When you only have your kids half the time that you have with them, you don't like to go out. You don't want to go out. You don't want to be like, oh, I'm so happy that I have you. I'm going to go out. That, if you're dating someone with small children, that means they've probably got a custody situation going, and it's not going to change. So you have to decide, is this enough? You might be number one on the weekends when they don't have their kids, but you are number two when they do have their kids. And really, would you respect that person if you weren't? So, and also you also have to think about, okay, they already have kids. Do they want more kids? That's a real thing. Before you get way invested in this person, you got to look at this situation and how's their relationship with their ex, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, big deal. Kites. Seriously, Lisa, kites. You know what I think? I actually think kittens are more of an issue than kites. Because I'm really allergic to cats, and I'm sorry, but I could date somebody with cats because I could never sleep over at their house. So there. Oh, kids, have kids. Oh, I think this was, we have kids. What do we do with them? Here's the thing. Your kids need your relationship to be solid. It's really hard to move from that baby stage where they're really like the center of your whole world, and they literally like can't survive without you like in the same room. And then we move and they grow and then by the time they're 4 they can make their own peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's really important for your children, for you and your partner to go out and have time together. If your kids are the center of your universe, then they are literally the center between you. Like they can really be in between you. They want and need and desire for you to be a united, happy, loving front, because then you're both going to have a lot more to give. And you'll be modeling a loving, healthy relationship for them. If you model for them that you know, that it's okay just to like ignore your spouse or never spend any time with them, they're not going to know what that means. They're not going to, you know, they're going to grow up wondering like, well, what does love feel like? I mean, I don't know. I guess it just means like you decide to have kids together or you have a house together, and then they get very external and they're thinking about what it means to really be connected. And I know that my own kids, seeing the relationship that I have now, which is really affectionate and loving, both of them are like, ooh, I want that. I want that kind of relationship where, you know, where somebody's thinking about me and paying attention and we have fun and we're really always speak kindly of each other and, you know, those things. So yes, your kids are by default the center, you know, the center of everything. I mean, you got to keep them safe and healthy and educated and feeling loved. And that's your job. That's your moral obligation. And, but you don't need to give up your love relationship for them. You don't. In fact, you are doing them a disservice by not taking care of your relationship. And by taking care, I mean shared experience, shared time. Go remember why you got married. Go spend some time together. So that's that. That's all the case. We did the whole bowl. So, thank you for joining me. And tomorrow I will see you for the letter L, which is, I can see it already. It's full of loveliness and love and licking and stuff. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.